Hey guys, today we're going to look at creating quadratic models and then solving them. So you're going to be given some problems that look something like this. We've got to figure out exactly how to make the equation to work these out. So it says here, find two consecutive even numbers that have a product of 728. Now the key to this is understanding where your variables come in. Okay, so you got to ask yourself, what is my first even number? And we don't know that. So in math, if we don't know something, we just call it x. So there's my first number. My first number is x. The next number is an even number. Okay, well, how are even numbers separated? Well, I have an x, and then my next number would be x plus 1. But that next number is odd, so that doesn't work. So the next even number would be x plus 2. So my first number is x. My next number is x plus 2. Now it talks about product. Product means we're multiplying. So I'm taking those two things, I'm going to multiply them together, and the product is 728. So I multiply them together, I get 728. All right, now I solve this. So I'm going to take and distribute through here. So I have x squared. X times 2 is 2x equals 728. All right, now we go through and work through to see if I can figure out what this is. Well, anytime I have a quadratic, I want to set one side to equal 0 and then factor. So I'm going to look at this in factoring. Now, if you try and figure this out, you're looking at two things, x and x. One of them is going to be positive, one of them is going to be negative. And I need two things multiplied to 728 have a difference of 2. Off the top of your head, that might be very difficult to come up with. So you're just not too sure. So you try breaking things down. Eventually, you may come up with the right numbers, which are 26 and 28. Okay? And 28 is going to be my positive. 26 is going to be my negative. Now when I set these two things equal to 0 and solve them, I get an x value of negative 28 and positive 26. Well, I'm looking for consecutive even numbers. If I have negative 28, my next consecutive even number would be negative 26 because I'm moving in that direction. Those do have a product of 728. They work. Okay. The other option is I have 26. My next even number is 28. 26 times 28 is 728. And there you go. There are my consecutive even numbers. Now, if you couldn't come up with 28 and 26 in this step, the other option is use the quadratic formula. Okay, you'd go through, you would end up with those same two options, and then you'd have to just find the next consecutive number. Now, the second problem is more of kind of common word problem you might work with. So it says a square pool deck has been decreased in size. So I've got this pool deck right here that's a square. The length was decreased by 4 feet and the width was decreased by 3 feet. The new area is 72 feet. What were the original dimensions of the pool deck? All right, so the question is, what were the originals? Well, let's say the originals were x and x. We don't know what they were. What we do know is that they've been decreased. So since they've been decreased, it's no longer a square, it's now more of a rectangle. So the length was decreased by 4, so we're going to say that this was x minus 4. I took my original, I subtracted 4. The width was decreased by 3, so I have x minus 3. And my new area, when I multiply those two things together, is 72 feet. So I've got x minus 4 times x minus 3, because that's my length times my width, is equal to 72 feet. And now I solve this. Well, I'm going to FOIL these back together. You get x squared minus 7x plus 12 equals 72. I'm going to subtract and set one side equal to 0. Okay, so I've got x squared minus 7x minus 60 equals 0. And then I'm going to see if I can factor. Okay, and if I can factor, that's great. So I've got x and x. I know I have a plus and a minus because my last term is a negative. So two things multiply to 60 and have a difference of 7. And that's going to be 12 and 5. So my 5 is going to be positive. My 12 is going to be the negative. And now I solve for x. So x in this first case gives me a negative 5. In the second case, it gives me a positive 12. Now think about what they're asking. They're asking what were the original dimensions of the pool deck. Well, it can't be negative 5 because you can't have a negative dimension, which means that your dimension would have been 12. So it would have been a 12 by 12 pool deck, and there's your final answer. Okay, so that's how you're going to use quadratics to set up and solve problems always just remember, choose an x for something that's missing and build everything else around that. Okay, if you need my help, definitely let me know.